Hi, I'm Diane Cometa, and today on Dishin with Di, I'm going to show you how to make a New York style cheesecake. Nice and tall and rich and creamy, and I'm going to show you step by step how to make it at home today on Dishin with Di. You need some cream cheese that's softened at room temperature, and you see this is nice and soft. And then I have some eggs here and some egg yolks, some all-purpose flour, sour cream, granulated sugar, a lemon and an orange for the zest, and some vanilla extract. You are going to need a springform pan. Now this is a 9-inch by about 3-inch high springform pan, and this is a non-stick one, but I've sprayed it with non-stick spray anyway so that nothing sticks. That makes sense, right? It's really important that this doesn't stick. So what we're going to do first is get some graham crackers, and these are graham cracker crumbs, and you could buy them already crushed, but what I did was just put the crackers into this bag, and I took my rolling pin and then I rolled it out just like this until they came out real fine. So what I'm going to do is make the crust right in this bag. So if you don't do it like this, then you can do this in a bowl. But what I have here is some melted unsalted butter. So I'm going to pour the butter in there. And to that, I'm going to add a little bit of granulated sugar just to keep things a little bit sweet. And I like to add a little pinch of cinnamon, just a little bit, just for a little kick there of something special. It just adds a nice little flavor to the crust. And of course, a pinch of salt. We like to have salt in our desserts to bring out the flavor. So now I'm going to close up my bag, and this is kind of the fun part because I'm going to kind of squish this all together until everything gets really moist. Now that that's nice and moistened, I am pouring it right into my springform pan. And then you're just going to kind of pat this down. So you can do this with your hands, or if you have a measuring cup or the back of a spoon, you can do that too. Just go all the way around. And you want it to come up the side about 1 inch and just kind of press that in. Now that that's in there nicely, I have the pan sitting on 2 pieces of foil. So I have a piece of foil going sideways and then the opposite direction. And what I'm going to do is just kind of crunch that around the sides. And I just don't want anything dripping out into the oven or anywhere, as a matter of fact. So this will keep that nice and secure. So now I'm going to take this and put this into my preheated 325-degree oven for about 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, I'm going to set it on a rack to cool for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge to chill while I make the filling. So I'll be right back and we'll get started on the filling. I just put all of the cream cheese into the bowl of my stand mixer, and I have it mixing on low speed. So if you don't have a stand mixer, use a hand mixer for this and have a nice big bowl because there's going to be a lot of batter. I increased the temperature of my oven to 450 degrees, and my crust is in the fridge chilling. So now what we're going to do is let this get nice and smooth. So this could take a few minutes, but it's again important that the cream cheese is at room temperature. So you don't want any lumps in there. So let this go for a few minutes. It might take 3 or 4 minutes, and scrape it, especially scrape your beaters and your paddle to make sure you get any cream cheese off of there. And then we'll go to the next step. Gradually pour the sugar in with the mixer on low. It's very important during the mixing of this batter that you go on a lower speed, because a higher speed is going to incorporate air into the batter, and then that could result in air pockets, which in the end could lead to like big cracks in the cheesecake. So we're also going to be adding in this all-purpose flour. So just sprinkle that in, and then a little bit of salt to bring out the flavors of everything. So just throw that in there too. Now we're gonna let this mix through completely until it's nice and smooth, and you're gonna make sure you go and scrape down the sides of your bowl, and especially if you have a stand mixer, get the bottom, because things tend to lay at the bottom and you don't want any unmixed batter down there. So just go ahead and scrape through a few times and let this mix until it's nice and smooth, and I'll show you what that looks like. Nice and smooth and silky. Now we're going to start putting in the eggs. So I like to put my eggs in a little measuring cup like this, so I can kind of drop them in there 1 or 2 at a time. So again, these are at room temperature, and now with the mixer on low, I'm going to let it mix through completely before I drop the next one in. And then go and again scrape the sides and the bottom and just keep going, and then we'll go to the next step. And this is what you're looking for. It's like satiny smooth. Now it's time to add in the sour cream, the vanilla, and then I have the orange and the lemon that we're going to be using for some zest. And then the citrus. So I'm going to stop the mixer for this because I want to just grate it in. And this adds a really nice little citrus hint in the background. So now I'm going to add some of the lemon in there as well. Now we're just going to mix this through again until everything is really well incorporated. I'm going to have to scrape it because we have the vanilla and the sour cream in there. And then when that's all mixed through, then we're ready for the last step. The batter is ready, and I just took the crust out of the fridge, and now I'm going to pour it right into the crust. And you see that? Those aren't lumps. That's the orange and lemon zest. This is going to be really delicious. So just take your spatula and just kind of smooth it out a little. Now the oven is preheated to 450 degrees. You're going to put this in there on the center rack for 15 minutes at 450. Then you're going to turn the temperature down to 200 degrees, and you're going to let it cook for another hour and 15 minutes. At that point, you're going to turn the oven off. Do not open the door. Don't open the door at any time. And let it sit in there with the oven off for 30 minutes. Then you're going to open the door and let it sit in there for another 15 minutes. And then you can take it out of the oven and put it on the rack to cool. I know it sounds bizarre, but what's happening is the temperature is high and then it's coming down nice and slow. So you don't want to go rip that thing right out of the oven, because then it's going to be like a shock in temperature for it. So you just want it to cook through nice and slowly, and then also cool nice and slowly, so everything kind of comes out like in this really beautiful texture. Fingers crossed, right? My cheesecake is done, cooled, and I had it refrigerated overnight, and you can see there's not a crack in sight. What you want to do after you get it out of the oven is let it sit at room temperature for a couple hours. And when you first take it out, the edges are going to be pretty close to the sides of the pan. So as it cools, it starts to shrink just a bit, and you want to get a knife in there and go around the edge and loosen it up. But at first, you're not going to be able to do that because it's going to be so close. So after it cools down for like an hour or so and you start to see a gap like this, then you're going to take a knife, and I have some warm water here, and I just kind of warm up the knife a bit and then wipe that off and just go down and just loosen it so that it's not against the side of the pan. So I'm doing this now again after it's come out of the fridge, just to make sure, because you don't want to release the pan and have the cheesecake stuck to the side. Now this is loosened up, so now I'm going to open the springform pan. So just loosen the springform up like this and open it up, and hopefully just lift it up like so. And let's see, it looks very good. It's lightly browned around the edges. But what I also wanted to show you is a cheesecake that I made 2 days ago, and I've already cut this open. So you can see inside, it's nice and smooth, and the top on this one, I don't know if you can see it, is also smooth. So now is the time you put a topping on. So you can do just about anything you want. I have some cherry pie filling here, and what you can do is just pour it right over the top. That looks absolutely beautiful, right? And it's so simple. And this is like your traditional cheesecake topping. And that is it. So to get the full recipe, make sure you go to my website, dishinwithdi.com, and I hope I made your life a little easier, more enjoyable, and delicious. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now. Let's cut into this bad boy. I've been waiting for this all day. Oh! Look at that. Oh my God. Oh, ah, ooh. I'm gonna be working out for a while after this.